Good evening. Good evening. Happy Sunday. Or not so happy Sunday. Rest in peace, Ricky Hatton. A horrible end to a horrible week. 46 years old. Absolutely devastating. I absolutely love Ricky Hatton. So I was very saddened by that news. I don't believe the cause of his death has been released. Not that it really matters too much. But yeah, very sad news. And as I said, a shocking end to a shocking week. How you doing, B7? Gene Silver getting stomped was fight of the year for me. We're going to get into that. We are going to get into that. Didn't expect Bud to win so easily. You kind of called it. How you doing, Jamie? Been a while since I've seen you. Yeah, I think my exact call was that Bud Crawford would outbox him and then get robbed in a decision, which, if you think about it, was exactly on the money. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Nice flip-flop on Lopez too. I got paid. I did not get paid, but I did flip-flop. And to be fair, it was the MMA guru who heavily influenced me on that one. He kind of got me actually thinking about it rather than just being a recent merchant following Mongoloid. Does that count as a swear word? I don't think so. Yeah, RIP Ricky Hatton. Yeah, I did mention that at the start. Really sad news. For anyone who doesn't know who Ricky Hatton is, I assume most people do in here. Hell of a boxer, British legend, and quite an untimely death, as most of them are. So yeah, very upsetting indeed. How you doing, random person? How you doing, JPL? We're back. We're back on silk pajamas, at least. The whole world is falling to pieces, but silk pajamas is going strong. How you doing, Westy? What's good, bro? Hope you're having a really good weekend. Yeah, what an awful week it's been for the most part. Yeah, I mean, it really has. It's been a shocking week on a lot of fronts. I don't want to entirely come in here on a negative. You know, I did that a lot on my live, well, not my last live, but the one before that. Quite a downbeat one from me, and rightfully so. But yeah, humanity's taken a big slap in the face this this week. Not for the first time, and it won't be the last. Yeah, I've mostly just been deeply sad and then embarrassed to be a human being, mostly. But you know, the UFC card at the very least, I know it sounds like I'm sidestepping here, and obviously I'm not making light of the situation, you know, anything but. But yeah, the boxing fight was what I expected. Really good spectacle, a lot on the line. And that UFC main event, whoa, almost said that word there. That was one of the best fights I've seen all year, if not the best fight I've seen all year. Some people will disagree. You know, recency bias comes into it. I think when you take all the factors into it, seeing that man get curb stomped after the way he's behaved and the way he behaved before the fight and after the fight was very, very satisfying to me. So shout out to Diego Lopez. I wish I bet money on Crawford getting the win by decision. I knew he would win, as Canelo been looking not the same for quite a while now. Yeah, Chris. When I made my original prediction, I said I thought that Canelo would win the fight, just by being a bit too powerful, bullying him a little bit. But I did a very sharp U-turn at the start of the week, and I said Crawford would outbox him. He'd be too slick. He looked really big in there. He looked really big next to him. And when he kind of pushed him around a bit at the face-off, I was like, oh, okay. Because that was the only thing that could potentially let Crawford down. It was just being bullied around a little bit in there, pushed against the ropes and worked a little bit. Did not happen like that. And Crawford fought exactly how we expected him to fight. It was just way too good for Canelo. And it was a robbery, despite a Crawford win, which we will talk about. Just didn't want to bet against one of my favorites of all time, the Irish legends. I hope he retires. Definitely Irish with that fucking mop, 100%. Epic fight. Dog walked that little nerd. JPL, he did exactly that, and he absolutely deserved it. Don't get me wrong, the fighting nerds aren't cooked. I do think there's a lot of positives to take out of the Gene Silver performance. some very good positives. I feel like a moment of madness kind of caught him at the end of the second round. He showed that he could weather a lot of storm because in the first round, he got 10-8'd as badly as it gets pretty much. He got pounded. That asshole got destroyed. But he weathered the storm and survived. In a lot of fights, the referee might have stopped that. So the fact that it was allowed to continue and then Gene Silver made a little bit of a comeback, there's definitely reasons to be optimistic about him if you're a Gene Silver fan. I, for one, don't give a shit. He's a cunt. First full swear word, 5 minutes and 46 seconds into the stream. So yeah, I'm with you, lads. I still think he's legit. I still think there's good things to come from him. But the question will be, is a beating like that going to put the brakes on him? Because I don't think he becomes champ at featherweight now with who's in front of him. Or he's got a long road back to it. Because it wasn't just the fact that you lost. His behavior afterwards, hitting, by the way, if you're here, like and subscribe. Him hitting Diego Lopez in the back of the head after the fight was over was an embarrassing disgrace. Just generally his whole conduct before. I mean, he rubs a lot of people up the wrong way with all that dog barking and behaving like a general knob. So I expect he's going to get a little bit of punishment for all of his antics. So it might not just be a long way back from him in terms of fights he's got to win, but I think the UFC might have to tone down his behavior a little bit. I feel like this happens whenever someone famous passes, multiple people croak also. It certainly puts more of a spotlight into it. I mean, the thing is, yeah, people die all the time. This is just the unfortunate reality of life. But certainly when something major happens, it kind of forces you to focus on the news more, and that's where you're more likely to pick things up. There are loads of people that have died that I wasn't even aware of until sometime later, and I'm like, fuck, like, really? It's never nice when it happens. I personally always feel saddened by anyone passing, no matter what their age, because it is a sad thing. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Chris. I think it's more just you become more aware of things. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. And everyone's good. It's nice to have everyone here. It's nice to have everyone here. Numbers are looking pretty good. Hopefully we'll have people involved in chat. I will answer any ridiculous questions that you have. That's what I do around here. I can't tell you I'm going to give any kind of interesting or intellectual answer. I'll probably end up calling you a cunt, but I will answer you. So feel free to unload whatever it is you have in your system. This is what I'm here for. The support group is underway. He's going to be a champ for sure. I still think there's a possibility that he will be, but he's got a long road back. How you doing, Pharaoh I Silv? Can't see your message, but hope you're doing well. How you doing, Mr. I am from India. Please say Max Madrashod. I've probably said something really dirty there. Or in Gujarat. Or in Hindi. Probably said I'm a flaky little white boy. But shout out to you. What's good, Frankie? Diego Lopez versus Movzar for #1 contender fight, or maybe Lopez versus Yair if Yair quits being a pussy. I still do want to see the Diego Lopez versus Yair fight. I still think it's interesting, but I don't think Yair deserves it. This should have been the fight that Yair took now. And what I loved about the post fight is Diego Lopez didn't immediately start saying, I want a title shot, I want Volk. He said, I'll talk to the UFC. If they think I should have one more fight, I'll have one more fight. And I wish more fighters would have this attitude. He seems to get in a lot of beef, which is funny. I think like a lot of fighters kind of give him shit for the Brazil Mexican flip-flopping, which he does a little bit. But he's allowed to represent both nations. He grew up in Brazil, went to Mexico when he was 19. He's allowed to represent more than one nation, but he seems to get a lot of shit for it. And I think a lot of people go for him because they think, if I rile him up a little bit, I know he'll take the fight because he's an absolute chad. And then I'll get like a potential step up into the rankings. But then you get to him and then he beats the fuck out of you. So maybe be careful what you wish for, cunts. Yeah, it could be worse. At least my boy Diego put that mustard on him to finally put that yapping dog down. I think this is going to humble him hugely. I think when I think when Silva looks back at the entire thing and has a conversation with certain people, he's going to rein that bullshit in a little bit. It's all right pissing people off and having a dog shit personality if you're winning, but you can't be an annoying cunt and get battered. It's not how the world works, because then you don't have a leg to stand on or a paw to stand on. Lopez can't get the Volk rematch that fast. The thing is, Westy, stranger things have happened. Diego Lopez has the Mexican fan base behind him. He's a bigger star than Lerone Murphy, who is arguably the next in line right now. And he just finished somebody in equally as devastating fashion who was an even bigger star within the UFC. Finishes every fight, guaranteed bangers, whereas Lerone Murphy necessarily isn't. I know he just flatlined Aaron Pico, who shouldn't have been in there to begin with. But most of his fights have been decisions. You could potentially see the UFC looking and going, do you know what? We could give Diego another run. I hope they don't. I hope Lerone gets his shot. But you can see how it would potentially happen. We know how they think, and it's not always in line with how we feel. In fact, it very rarely is. Gene Silva definitely tried to throw us off the scent. He is a secret Jeff Molina pulling up with his wifey. That outfit looked ridiculous as well. He looked like a 60-year-old man dressed as a 9-year-old boy. Those were the vibes I got. It was like a Gene combo. It looked utterly ridiculous. Tried to wear the cowboy. Who wears cowboy with double jean? A cowboy hat with double jeans, a jean top and a jean bottom. I'm not explaining myself very well, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't even a cowboy hat. What am I talking about? It was a. I'm going to stop talking about that now. But yeah, you got exactly what you deserved. He's a moron, and fuck him. Gene still, yeah, this is what I'm saying. I mean, and to be fair, his wife, he looked all right. She was, and I can't remember if Diego Lopez didn't turn up with a woman, did he? Probably tapping Alexa Grasso. The one thing that was a bit difficult though was at the end of the fight when Diego Lopez was trying to speak English. That was hard to listen to. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't understand a fucking word he was saying. Frankie, did you see Bryce Mitchell in the grappling match with that 19-year-old? I think it only lasted a minute. What did the 19-year-old beat his ass? I did not see it. I train MMA. I inspire to be like Gene Silva in the fight style, the creativeness and excitedness. I think he got emotional though. I completely agree with that. I agree with people who are of the opinion that if he'd made it through the second round, he would have won that fight. Diego Lopez was getting hit way too easy. He was getting drawn into that, oh, let's fist bump and get all friendly in the middle. Never do that in a fight. Because it fucks with you mentally. When someone's like, oh yeah, buddy, and giving you a fist bump and messing around, you get drawn into that shit. And Diego Lopez is very easy to hit. He was clearly fading. But you got caught with a devastating elbow, and I'm glad that it did. A humbling was needed to be dished out, and I think Gene Silva got exactly what he deserved. I say let Volk smoke Murphy, then retire. Then we get a vacant title fight, or if Murphy wins, he gets Lopez. I don't hate that either. I don't want to see Volk go on longer than he necessarily will. And from what I understand from Volk's personality, that's very likely to happen. Like, he's been very open about his mental health issues, how he needs fighting. So it's very possible that he continues on way longer than he possibly should, and I don't want to see that happen. Volk strikes me as the kind of guy who goes out on like a substantial losing streak if it happens. And if he stays in the game for too long, it definitely will. Mystical Mustache Diego Lopez will be the new future champ for a minute after Volk retires. The thing is with Diego Lopez's style is he has that kill or be killed way of fighting, and that's always dangerous. But one thing we're going to get is he will be a fan favorite for years because he brings the fucking thunder, and you have to appreciate that about him. Whether he's going to be one of those guys where I don't think his career is going to be dependent on necessarily wins and losses. It's going to be going in there and being an absolute Chad, because we lack male role models these days, and that man is a certified don. Yeah, the 19-year-old got inside a heel hook on Bryce after trying a flying triangle and rolling under his legs. That's the thing about Bryce. Bryce is an exceptional wrestler, but his BJJ isn't exactly world class. And I think people sometimes mix that up. They see, oh yeah, really good wrestler. Bryce Mitchell is I wouldn't go as far as to call him a wet blanketer, but his game is to get you down, get on top of you, and then lay off devastating strikes. He's not necessarily an amazing submission artist. I'm not saying he doesn't have that in his game, but that doesn't entirely surprise me. And I'm assuming it was a BJJ kind of or grappling kind of realm. And that's the thing. If you fuck around like that with BJJ guys under those rule sets, you're gonna get a leg snatched. You're gonna get. I mean, I don't see too much shame in that. And some of these guys who are doing BJJ now, they've been doing it from 5, 6 years old, and they're mint. But get them out on the street, and they'll get battered like the little pussies they are. Because BJJ is useless in the street, unless you have the fortune of getting in an altercation with somebody one-on-one, which never happens on the street, and there's no one around because you will get your head stomped. A humbling was needed. Will I tune in the future of a Gene Silver fight? Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely will as well. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater with this guy. Gene Silver is an exceptionally talented guy. Like, the striking's on point. He's clearly got very decent ground game, but he was exposed a little bit in the grappling. You know, getting taken down. That I wouldn't even say he got exposed in the grappling, but it was the worst potential time in that fight to get taken down by Diego Lopez, because at that weight class, when that guy's on top of you, you ain't getting him off. And that's the danger that Diego Lopez poses. I ended up losing the parlay I ended up losing out on was fucking Jared Gordon fucked my night up, believe it or not. So 2 losing streaks in a row. And I had Bud Crawford on that. I had Diego Lopez. I had Jared Gordon. And there was one other fight before that as well. 25 to make 550. Fucking Jared Gordon ruins my night. But apparently he got hit by a car before the fight. So if I'd known that, I would have cut that. So that was my own fault. Can't believe how much spinning elbow finishes we're seeing lately in the sport. Growing up as a kid and watching it, I remember like 6, 7 in around 8, 10 years. This is the thing, yeah. When I watched K1 the other day with Combat Casual, you see them every fucking fight. It's madness. The BJJ is useless in the street. Rhetoric is stupid as fuck, and it's a fake hardcore take. Any legit blue belt from any gym that doesn't start from the knees will be a force of nature in the streets. Well, Infinity, against somebody who's untrained, 100%. I'm more making the point that if you're a BJJ guy and you're fighting someone who knows, and you're not an elite BJJ guy out on the streets, if you're fighting somebody who has a moderate understanding of training, you're not going to get put in that position. And like I said, out on the street, you're more likely to get chinned. And I was more alluding to the fact that it's the kind of I'm not saying it's not a skilled martial arts set, because obviously it is. And if you're fighting somebody who's untrained, I'm more saying that I think we can both agree that BJJ is most effective when you're pinned up against somebody either on their back or on the ground. And in a street fight, it's very unlikely to be just you and another person. And when you put yourself in that situation, you're going to get your head stamped in. I'm not saying it's not a really good martial art. It's something that I've got my son lined up to do as well. But I think it needs to be done in line with other disciplines. And that's my point. I think if you're purely a BJJ practitioner and you're in a real fight situation, you're more than likely going to get pancaked, because a wrestler can pick you up and drop you on your head, and somebody who knows karate, or maybe Muay Thai would be a better example, or boxing, is just going to chin your ass out, and they can maintain defending themselves while they're throwing hooks in your face or kicking you in the head. I don't think that's an unreasonable, or as you put it, a stupid as fuck and fake hardcore take. But thank you for your opinion. I almost think Gene Silver has a better chance of beating Volk than Lopez does. I don't hate that at all. Again, that's the beautiful thing about MMA. Styles often make fights. Hang on a sec. And that's why it's a really fascinating and complex sport. Frankie, who do you got for RDR versus Fluffy? I'm going to that event live in Vancouver. I've got Fluffy Hernandez. I think they're both equally awkward. But Fluffy's shown time, and I think the difference in that fight is going to be RDR does put pressure on, but it's not sustained. Not in the slightest. Fluffy puts pressure on you from minute 1 to minute end. And I think this might be a crazy take to make. I think he's slightly more technical in the striking than RDR is. He's got a much better gas tank. And I think when you look at the guy, he doesn't look like he's shredded. He looks like he basically, because I mean, I've seen him in training and he's podgier than he is. So he obviously does cut weight. But when you look at him standing across from you with his smiley face, he's got a little bit of a belly on. You look at him and you think, soy cunt, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. And then you're hitting him and he's still coming and you're thinking, the fuck? And then he just taps away at you, keeps pushing forward, drags you into uncomfortable positions. And I think he's going to do that with RDR. I do think the first couple of rounds are going to be tough for him when RDR's at full battery power. But I think as the fight wears on, I think Fluffy will drain him out and start piecing him up. That's my honest opinion. But great fight. It's the fight that needs to happen. And I give maximum credit to both those men for not clutching onto their dicks and waiting for the rest of the division to move. Because let's just say, for example, Imavov has a little bit of an injury. He might be on the shelf for a little while. And then you're waiting around for him to potentially get a title shot. Let's just say he can't do it when Hamzat's ready to let go of his dick, which may not be for a good while. It makes sense that Fluffy and RDR have said, fuck this, we're going to put the situation into our own hands, fight each other, and then see what the get down is. And then in the meantime, you maybe do a DDP and Cal, keep it moving. Maximum respect for it. Where did Gable Stevenson also had his MMA debut and got a pretty easy win? I know very little about. I know of Gable Stevenson, but I don't know that much about him. I can see the UFC trying to get him in the next 6 to 12 months if Gable sticks with MMA. Obviously, he's a relatively big name. I mean, I know of him, and I don't really watch that many sports outside of MMA or any disciplines outside of MMA that much. So says a lot about the guy. I mean, potentially, yeah. I mean, star power is everything in this game. So, Diego gave Gene some humble pie. Do you think Alex Pereira moves up to heavyweight? Hey, how you doing, Dustin Miller? I do think Alex Pereira eventually moves up to heavyweight, and I think it happens no matter what happens in that Ankalaev fight. In fact, I think it will be his next move after the Ankalaev fight, whatever happens. Because as I've said, and especially if Gane absolutely if Aspinall plows through Cyril Gane, because there's no one else for Tom to fight, and he needs a star. And again, we talked about this in previous chats, but you can always sell that, oh, well, Alex can't cut the weight anymore. If Alex loses to Ankalaev, the narrative will be from the UFC or from others. He's struggling to make the weight now, blah, blah, blah. He went in there drained. That's what they'll do. And then they'll push the narrative of he's a more natural heavyweight now. He's ready for that weight class. And you can always sell this could be our first ever freeweight world champion. So that will have weight. And Alex Pereira is still a name. I think he personally gets fingered in the asshole by Tom Aspinall, but that's a completely different matter. He might have to fight another heavyweight first, but I don't even think they'll do that. I think they'll chuck him right in there, regardless of what happens with Ankalaev. And we'll get him versus Tom some point next year. That's what I'm predicting. And there's already a little something between those two anyway. It's going to be a close fight for sure. Hopefully that was a long enough explanation for you. Sorry, I'm quite long-winded. It's going to be a close fight for sure. I've got RDR by finish to the body in round 4 or 5, but I can see Fluffy win by decision. Again, this is the fight. I'm expecting this to be relatively even. I do. I've been on Fluffy's bandwagon since he beat Rodolfo Vieira. I've been like, nah, this guy's good. Rodolfo Vieira obviously came in as a much touted prospect and got absolutely drowned to death. So yeah, I've been on his ball bag since then. and I'm going to keep on the fluffy train until it fucking goes crashing into a mountain. Oh, LFA. It's not a bad place to start, you know. Thank you, Chris. If Alex loses, who will he fight at heavyweight? It depends on how he loses to Ankalaev. If he gets absolutely splattered, they'll give him a striker of some description. They won't give him anyone with any grappling credentials whatsoever. And that's a hard one to pick. It's got to be somebody in the top 10 who's creditable. It's a hard one. It very much depends on what happens with Aspinall and Gane. But I do think we see that fight in 2026 because there's just not enough options at heavyweight. We've got nobody really coming through. He ain't fighting Aspinall first if he loses to Ankalaev, though. Again, would you be surprised? Would you be surprised? I certainly wouldn't. I'm not thinking about logic here. I'm just thinking about how the UFC bumps, and they bump like retards. So, I mean, I think we need Tom and Alex in a massive heavyweight scrap. After Tommy whoops Gane in 2 minutes, then Aspinall got nothing at heavyweight. That's exactly what I've been saying. And again, he does exactly the same to Alex Pereira as well. But I've been saying this for a long time. I think the Gane fight for Tom is going to be a lot harder than people are expecting. I think it goes to at least the 3rd round because Gane is going to be very cautious. He's not going to wade in there like an idiot. He's not going to serve like Sergey Pavlovich here and start swinging for the fences. He's going to try and tap at his legs, keep the distance, try and point fight as much as he can for as long as he can. And then sooner or later, Tom Aspinall is going to get an opening. He's going to double leg him. And then he's going to beat him up on the ground. A submission wouldn't surprise me, but I think he beats him up on the ground. Gane has shown he's a turtle on his shell when he gets put on his back. Other than Gelton Almeida is a decent test, they won't put him against Gelton Almeida because Gelton Almeida will just wrestle fuck him and it will be horrible. You'll kill Alex Pereira completely. Gelton Almeida should be fighting Volkov, right? I think Volkov's going to fuck him up. Volkov's got semi-decent wrestling. He's hard to take down with his long limbs. I think he's going to smash his head in. I do believe that fight is at least very heavily down the line, or it's heavily off in the negotiating process, or it's been near enough made, if not made already. I'm not entirely sure about that. Somebody will have to fact check me on that one. No way to give Alex a title fight at heavyweight off a loss at 205. Again, it depends on the circumstances, and it depends what you've got to remember, Westy. The heavyweight division is almost as bad. It's almost as bad as women's featherweight, which doesn't exist anymore. My dad versus your dad. My dad's dead, so I'm not sure. Haven't seen your dad. Not even sure if he could beat up. I was about to say the rotting corpse of my father, and now I've actually said it out loud. Nice way to enter a chat, though. How you doing? I think my dad wins. Fair enough. My dad was a beast. He was a beast. Bit of a cunt as well. But Tom's training partner, Ante Delija, is an interesting old prospect who is easily top 5. Yeah, I mean, you get a couple of wins for him, but then you can't. It's a weird one because you can't put him against Tom Aspinall. I genuinely don't think they would fight each other. But Ante Delija has some bad losses as well in his career. He's had some good wins as well. But let's slow roll it a little bit. He just beat Marcin Tybura, who is a decent heavyweight. He's not like bottom feeder level, but let's not get too carried away. What I like about Delija, he's got really fast hands and he's got some power behind him. He's not just a run-of-the-mill, slow plodding heavyweight. So he could do some serious damage, but there's a lot you still have to do with him. There's a lot. I think he kind of bypasses the Sergey Pavloviches of the world. I think you do him against somebody like who just lost to who's that guy that everyone said was good that I know sucks ass? That tubby Brazilian cunt. Fuck me, I can't remember his name. You could do Delija and like Curtis Blades, or let me have a quick look in the. It's is it It's not Teixeira. UFC heavyweight. Let's have a gander. Waldo Cortez Acosta. I would probably do that one because Waldes Cortez Acosta is tough, but he's slow. So it'd be interesting to see if Delija could get through that test. Because I think Waldes Cortez Acosta is terrible, but he's got a chin and he is somewhat dangerous. So I meant give Tommy versus Almeida when Tommy would obliterate him. Almeida is a very small heavyweight. You need somebody. The reason why Tom's got some big problems right now, well, it depends on if you see it as a problem. He's a naturally massive heavyweight who can move. He can move. By the way, like I said, if you are new here, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Trying to get that like game up, especially. Yeah, I think Tom Aspinall beats him up. You need to be a legit, like, you need to be legitimately 260 pounds, well-rounded and quick. There aren't many guys around that, if any, at this moment in time. Does anyone think Alex Pereira has a prayer against Aspinall? I personally don't. He's got to punch his chance. I mean, whenever you carry power in your hands, and we don't know how devastating he would be at heavyweight. But no. The one thing I will say, he did manage to show some degree of takedown defense against Muhammad Ankalaev, but Muhammad Ankalaev is not that good a wrestler. People think that Muhammad Ankalaev, because he's a daggy, is a wrestler. He's not. Muhammad Ankalaev is a striker. Or he's certainly a better striker than he is a wrestler. He can wrestle, and he does. If you look at the history of his career, like his takedown accuracy, his takedown percentage, it's not that good. I love seeing Croatian power back at heavyweight. There's something about a somewhat Eastern European that just gets the boner going. He gets the blood flowing into the boner. I'll put it that way. I was a big fan of Mirko Krokop. It was nice having him around back in the day. And Delija seems like a really nice. I've pronounced his name about 4 different ways during this stream. He seems like a genuine dude. And we need some nice guys around. We need some nice guys injected into humanity these days. Because frankly, the world's gone to shit. Or even more obviously to shit. Alex would have to spam leg kicks at Tom's bad knee. But other than that, he gets knocked out early. I think Tom Aspinall has been very, very open about what you would do with Alex Pereira. Tom is not a stupid guy. He would grab him and throw him on the ground and just pancake his face into the ground. And Alex Pereira would not be able to get up against a legit 260-pounder. There is no way. And how does he stop the takedown? There's no chance. He can spread his legs all he wants. Tom Aspinall will bulldoze through him. People talk about the better big man, all that stuff. Wait, not only is he the better big man, but he's actually good at doing that. So he takes him down, absolutely destroys him. In my opinion. Yeah, Tommy beats everyone at the moment. I think he needs to fight either way because he hasn't fought in a minute because of Gage on Jones. Well, that's just it. It's a bit like, it's almost depressing from Tom Aspinall's view because you feel like his legacy is going to be very harshly affected by the fact that there's nobody around for him to whoop. It's a simple fact. So that is going to affect his legacy somewhat. But then, I mean, things are constantly moving all the time. There are good heavyweights out there. It's just we need to find them and we need to give them the opportunity. I think Aspinall is just too aggressive and fast for Pierre. And he's smart as well. He's smart. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's come out very openly and said, I won't strike with the man. You look Canadian. How do you look Canadian? How do you look Canadian? I don't know what a Canadian person would look like. I mean, us whiteys look all the same. Kind of. But I'm a man of the world. Kind of. Hate everyone equally. But nice to meet you, Penguin Girly. I'm assuming you have a dick. I'll be real. But so does everyone else here. So welcome. Nice to have you here. Like I said, if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button. I know I always forget to remind people because I'm very bad at this. But I would very much appreciate it. Hey, I'll put it up on the screen just to remind you because it is kind of helpful. Like I said, at this point, it's just kind of a numbers game in how much can we make this community grow. Frankie looks Dutch, if I had to guess. Inbred Irish is the real answer to that. I mean, my generations go quite far back, but I think it could be a fun game we could play. I can't remember what they call those DNA tests, and I don't really believe in them. What might be an interesting thing to do is I might pay at some point, and I've said this a few times, I might get like 2 DNA tests done and see if they line up in terms of the ancestral DNA thing. There's not a single woman in chat. Actually, Mr. Ribovics, great fighter choice, by the way. Sometimes we have 1, 2, and believe it or not, sometimes 3 real females in here. Mind blown, I know. I think we've actually had more than that on occasion, but we do have like regular subscribers and chat members, and some of the mods are females. I mean, which is shocking to me, really, because the way that I talk about women in this chat, I should be on a list of some kind, and these comments will come back to hurt me at some point. And you know what? I'm going to defend them down to the ground because I don't give a fuck. Vamos, we have a couple of regular females here. We do. I'm not sure where they are tonight. They're obviously doing something more meaningful with their lives than watching me talk absolute shit. But at least I'm honest about it. Yeah, so as I said, boys, it was a nice weekend. The Crawford fight really pleased me. I still think it was a robbery. Crawford won 10 rounds out of the 12 at least. So I'm telling you, if it was like 8-4 or 9-3, Crawford would have lost a decision in that fight. I'm not saying it's because he's black, but I'm thinking it. They clearly did everything in their power to make that look somewhat respectable for Canelo, and it didn't. He got absolutely outclassed. That's what it's called, 23andMe. But is there more than Chris? Is there more than one way of doing it? Because I'm thinking to make sure it's legitimate. Because what I'd like to do is use 2 completely different companies on different sides of the world, send that DNA out. I mean, there's plenty of my DNA on bed sheets all over the world. So it's out there. So I might as well just, I might as well hand it over willingly. Uncle Ruckus is back. How you doing, bro? Yeah, so I'm figuring if I try it with 2 completely different, and then what I can do is expose them when it turns out to be bullshit. Because I don't reckon they pull it out of their bungholes. Because I don't think anyone has ever done more than 1 test from different places. Beautiful black man. How you doing, Uncle Ruckus? I had it 9-3 Crawford, but I can see 10-2 Crawford more than 8-4. I had it 10-2 myself as well. It was a total outclassing. The fact that I think it was one of the judges had him up by 2 rounds and one of them had him up by 3 is bananas to me. I think 9-3 I don't hate. 9-3 for me was the bare minimum. I agree with you on that. I had it 10-2. And even the 2 rounds that Canelo won, it's not like he exactly. It's kind of in a way it's kind of being. You can make an argument. I think it's a harsh argument because Canelo did have a couple of moments where he brought a fire on, but you can make an argument that he won none of those rounds really, or one. But I think 10-2. 10-2 is how I scored it. Did you see Hector Lombard is joining Power Slap? I've had many things to say about Power Slap over the day. Back in the day, it is the stupidest thing ever, and I hate it. Oh, Ancestry.com is another popular one, but did they actually take DNA? Or do they just have fake history on you? 2 judges said it's 7-5. That's bananas. That's bananas. I don't know how the fuck you give Canelo 5 rounds. At best, if you're being super generous and you're being the biggest dick rider of all time, you can squeak 3, but 5 is mad. It was a clear and decisive outclassing. And obviously people are gonna make the excuses about Canelo being over the hill, and they're fair arguments. But it doesn't matter. This is when the fight happened, and it was an absolute clearing. It was an ironing out of epic proportions. The only way it could have been better is if he obviously slept him, but that was never going to be likely. Are there power slap fans? Absolutely not. 23andMe is selling everyone's info. D-Life, everyone's selling everyone's info. Everyone's doing it. Bud is officially undisputed. How you doing, Bruiser Brody? Yeah, Bud Crawford is going to go down as one of the greatest fighters of this generation. I think you can make cases for himself. You can make a case for obviously Alexander Usyk. In a way, might be on his way to laying his name down in that conversation as well. But yeah, it's those 3. It's Bud, Usyk, or Inoue. And Inoue's got a little way to go. And the thing is, yeah, the Inoue is going to have to continue going up weight classes, but he's collected a lot of belts already. But he's going to have to keep going up weight classes in order to get there. Power Slap is a pyramid scheme by Dana. They're trying to sell it off. It must be something because it isn't a legit organization. It's really stupid. I don't really get why people like it. RIP Ricky, 100% Brody, 100%. Just a quick reminder, if you could like and subscribe to the stream. I'm probably saying that at a really bad time. Ricky Hatton is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He wasn't the most skilled in the world, but the heart on that man was sensational, and he was funny as fuck. I'm assuming he must have had some kind of heart attack or something like that, because the thing is about Ricky, I don't want to say this disparagingly because I love the man, but he didn't exactly look after himself outside of the ring. You know, he abused his body quite a bit. Paddy Pimblett should take note of this. He would balloon up quite a lot. He'd be in the pub straight after a fight, and he would get fat as fuck in between fights. And you saw, as soon as he retired, he looked like a thumb. He was large. But having said that, it's still obviously really sad. It's a very early death. Great man, great personality, and a British legend, and will go down so as and like I said, it just rounds off a shitty end to a shitty week. Just awful. This week is going to go down in infamy as dog shit. Pure and simple. Imagine what Bud would do to Top Tiro in the ring. I mean, what would you do in a real fight though? Still think it might be interesting. Still think it might be interesting. Top Tiro was swinging and falling over trying to hit Bryce Mitchell. Again, yeah, in a boxing match. I mean, he absolutely fucking beats the shit out of him. However, in a real fight, boxing is not real fighting. As much as, and I grew up as a boxing fan before I grew up as an MMA fan. Are you that guy on YouTube who sticks a flute up his butt and farts? No, I'm not, but that sounds interesting. I know I look like I stick stuff up my ass. I actually don't. I know that must be very disappointing for you. I know plenty of people come on here to knock one out, and fair enough. You do you. But I only do that in my spare time, sir. There will be no filming of that. That's my personal time. Release the files. Release whatever the files are, release them immediately. Crawford can wrestling, but it's American can wrestle, but it's American wrestling. I would give Crawford a much greater chance than a lot of boxers out there. Crawford is a very smart guy. And he's good. In fact, I take away the fighting comment about Crawford because I reckon Crawford is disciplined enough to maybe do something about it. But he is 37. It felt like it was really unnecessary of me to say that, because let's just be real with ourselves. It's a completely different sport. And it's a stupid thing to say. Usyk just passed him lately, though, but that win for Crawford gets him right behind. I agree. It's those three in the top three, pound for pound. Usyk to me is just phenomenal, just because he is very small to be going up to heavyweight, and he looks like he's getting better every single time. And he's a lot more active than Crawford is. The one criticism I've got of Crawford is I don't feel like he's really active enough, but he's amazing. And it's obviously working for him. He could go for the rest of his career potentially as well, going undefeated. Do you think Crawford has a better legacy than Floyd Mayweather, for example? Because that's been something that's been talked about quite a lot recently. That he's actually had kind of a better career than Mayweather has. I'm not sure I would agree with that. The names on Mayweather's resume are unbelievable. But there's an argument to be made. Titles won, all that shit. Ilya would brutalize Crawford in a real fight. Boxing is a version of fighting. Boxing's not really a fighting. It's more of an art form. I'm not saying you can't use boxing to fight. And there are obviously fighters within boxing who have hearts. And there are fighters in MMA who are absolute pussies. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's just logical that from an advantage standpoint, you're going to have more chance in a fight if you have more than one string to your bow. And I don't think that's an outrageous thing to say. And I'm a boxing fan. When boxing's at its best, it's one of the best sports in the world. But when it sucks, it really sucks. I don't know why I suddenly threw that in there. Ran, a flute must be farted over, not into. Uttered by the expert himself. I love USD. But yeah, out of any boxers, Crawford and Usyk would do the best in MMA. Usyk would be an interesting one because he's just, again, he's a smart guy. And I think you need a little bit of brain power to be able to cross over. Usyk especially because he's a Sambo and Judo black belt. I didn't know that about Usyk. It doesn't surprise me, though. Usyk is my favorite personality and fighter in the modern era. I just love watching the guy, and I wish nothing but the best for him. After he beat what was it? Fury the second time, I was kind of like, he should just retire now, be done. But then he looked even better. He looked even better against Dubois than he's ever looked. And the guy trains all year round. So I think Usyk could get a couple more fights in. My worry is that he eventually gets Moses Atuma, and at the wrong time. And I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see a 41-year-old Usyk fight a 25-year-old Atuma. I don't want to see that, because I think it would be unfair. And people are dumb. I think Usyk deserves to go down as having a GOAT level. He should be on the Mount Rushmore of boxers, and that's where it should remain. And as soon as you get a loss, people are dumb. They start taking you. It doesn't matter that you've aged. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. As soon as you lose, and lose in devastating fashion, which if you lose to Moses Atoma, that's more likely what it's going to be, then you lose that legacy. Is the Perth card stacked? Let's have a quick look. Is Perth next week? This will tell you what a fucking casual. Oh, so it's Allberg and Reyes. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, the Allberg-Reyes fight is pretty good. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares should be a bit of a banger. Urslan and Crute will be a slugfest. Jake Matthews and Neil Magny has the potential to go either way. I mean, you've got Tom Nolan and Evan Elder on the main card, which is disgraceful. You've got the Tubby Taffers. Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato could be all right. I do like... Oh, do you know what I think is a secret banger? Loma Lukbunmi versus Alexia Tainara is a banger of a fight. And I will say this as well, yeah. They're doing Loma Lukbunmi dirty on this one, because Texera has basically just turned up, and she looks disastrous. She looks powerful. So giving her Loma Lukbunmi, who's been around for a while, is dirty work. Fight Night Fagot Frankie. I see you finally learned to keep Clown's name out of your mouth, little boy. Good. All right, Clown, I'm glad you're here, you cunt. You saw my shorts. You said nothing. You are a pussy. And if you want some, you know where to find me. I didn't keep your name out of my mouth. I got bored because you're an idiot and you're not worth it. So if you really want some, come and get it. You fat virgin. Sorry about that. Taffa brothers are still in the UFC. Yeah, because I mean, they heavyweight is that shit. The thing is, though, I will say this: yeah, the junior Taffa at least has shown that he's dedicated himself to his training because he looked shredded at light heavyweight. Until he learns to grapple properly, though, which he never will, he's not going to achieve anything. If boxing had smaller gloves, it would be watchable. Guys eating 300 punches each without a knockdown is so shit to watch. No damage either. But that's the good thing about that bomb one. That's the thing about it. It's like you have other alternatives now. You can go to bare knuckle. You can go to dirty boxing. You can watch Street Beefs. There's so many things you can watch. They will never alter things too majorly in boxing. And to be fair, a lot of people die in the sport, and it's still dangerous anyway. But I get what you're saying. I mean, if that's not your kind of flavor, there's plenty other things you can look into. 100%. You are one of the most pathetic losers on MMA YouTube. You are an embarrassment to your family. Clown Show, this is you. This is you, you pathetic fat virgin. You have been offered the opportunity to talk to me face to face like a man. Not that you ever go on camera, because let's be honest, you're ugly. You look like shit. So you'd never even attempt it. You've had the opportunity. What you do is you get rinsed out and fucked in the ass, which I do to you on a regular basis. You say nothing for a couple of weeks, and then you come back after you found your dick, which I imagine must be really hard. You get a little bit of big bollocks on you, and then you say, I ducked you. You're an idiot. Fuck off. Have a nice day. I feel better. I feel better. You're not worth my time. How you doing, Steve? What's good, man? Hope you've had a good weekend. How's life treating you? You're just talking about what a shocking week it's been. Like I said, the fact that we had some decent fights on the weekend was phenomenal. But it's just generally been a sad week. It's been more than a sad week. It's been a week where humanity de-evolved, or more obviously. Yeah, but the skill of top boxers with small gloves would be sick to watch. BKFC only has washed fighters, but it will never happen. There may be a gap in the market, though. There may be an opportunity for somebody to step up and say, do you know what? We're going to do 4-ounce gloves, but we're going to do boxing only. I think it would struggle to get licensed, because as I said, it's repeated punches to the face. Bare knuckle in a lot of ways, because you don't have that little bit of padding and more of an impact surface. You can kind of get away with it a little bit more, because it obviously looks more gruesome because you're easy to get cut up with bare knuckles. But in terms of the impact, you've got more likely that your bones are going to be they're going to be more brittle. So I don't know what the exact logistics of that would be, but it wouldn't surprise me if it. And then like you said, Bomb, you've got the whole issue of, then you've got people who'd be willing to make a transition to the sport. It would probably be washed guys from other organizations or other disciplines that have run out of options. So you'd probably have to deal with 10 or 20 years of just washed up horrible cunts doing it. And you'd need somebody to really believe in and push the idea. Good, just got off a 48-hour shift. Now I have 4 days off. Do you know what? Yeah, I think I could cope with something like that. Just having the multiple long layoff and then having like just packed out shifts back to back. I've done it before. I double shifted when I was a teenager, doing college and working in a supermarket, doing evening shift. So yeah, I've grinded. I've been on the grind. So don't judge me too harshly. But shout out to you, man. Congratulations on the days off. I'm sure they're very well deserved. And thank you as always for the wonderful work that you do. You people are fucking heroes. The best guys wouldn't do that. They absolutely would not. They absolutely wouldn't. There's no chance. And you can kind of see why. There'd have to be significant money in it. But you never know yet. If you see somebody like if you see the Saudis or the money's out there, and combat sports is growing, it's a deep pool now. There's a lot out there. So if there's somebody out there who has the money and believes in it, it could happen. But I think you're right. I think the likelihood that it happens anytime soon aren't good. So, but I don't hate the idea. You're welcome, Steve. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Have you got any nice plans for the next 4 days, or are you just gonna veg out and chill? Because I know what I would do. I certainly know what I would do. But you know, each to their own and all that. Yeah, so as I said, it's just been one of those wacky weeks. You know, there's been a lot of tough things to I was gonna say tough things to swallow, but I don't want to get that clipped up. It's been a dodgy week. Yeah, so we had the Ukrainian woman obviously getting murdered on the subway. I'm not sure what exactly the reasoning was behind that. Fucking disgusting way to start the week. That gave me chills. And again, I got sent that video, had no idea what it was. And fortunately, and I say fortunately, it was horrific, but it wasn't visibly that horrific. It was more heartbreaking from like the shock of look on her face knowing she was finished. That was hard to watch. But the Kirk thing just then took it to another level. Everything about it just disgusted me to my very core. So yeah, it's just been one of those ones. And then Ricky Hatton goes and dies at the end of the week. That fat legend. I mean, goddamn, what a personality he was. And 46 years old. It's all young people as well. It's all people that should have had plenty of life left to live. Certainly in the cases of the Ukrainian lady and Kirk. Just tragic and horrible. And like I said, this species it's just scrap it all. Scrap it all. That's all I can say about that. But like I said, there was I mentioned this on the last I'm not somebody who gets into politics either as well. It was more just the act itself. I didn't talk about anything about it politically at all. I veered away from that completely because it's not relevant to me at all. And I've said what I've had to say about that. The shorts are on the channel, and I felt bad even putting those up, but I felt like it was important for me to have my say on it because I felt really disgusted by it. You realize your mod Lane Huskins did to Scoobs. You're a trash junkie puss. This is definitely clown show. You sweaty fuck. If you want to do something about it, then let's go. We can go anytime. And we all know that you don't want any. So shut your fat mouth, you loser. You don't want any. I don't care what my subs get up to or my mods get up to in their private time. I don't care about sharing people's information. I don't care about doxing. I'm not interested in anything you have to say, you fucking loser. The black guy who killed the Ukrainian said, got that white girl. It was I thought it was a black woman. Damn. I like the old picture you've used of me there, clown show. You know not to use this current iteration of me. You caught me slipping and I respect it. Fair play to you. It is disgusting. Yeah, that to me was, was there ever any reasoning given behind that? Did he just see a Ukrainian woman on the street and just stabbed her up? On the train and just stabbed her up? Because what was the reasoning behind that? I mean, I'm not saying there's anything that justifies it, but was there like an altercation beforehand? Was there any kind of background, or was it just that random? Again, it doesn't justify it, but I guess it gets even more degrees worse. It's already like 9th level despicable, but yeah, disgusting. I feel like all that shit you see on social media is horrible for you. I don't use anything but YouTube, but I don't follow politics at all. Life is good. I'm exactly the same. I stay out of all of that stuff. This might sound like a very selfish thing. I kind of research things and do things that are relevant to me. I don't really look too far into anything. You know, I don't. I kind of just like, I live my life, and you know, when something becomes relevant to me, I'll find out about it. I'm a stick my head in the sand kind of person. And I know it sounds awful, but I'm just too busy in my life. Like I said, I've got a family, I've got a full-time job. I've got things in my life that matter to me that are far more important. Man, I don't want to sound like a wannabe instigator, but if I had to guess what happened to Ricky Hatton, he was up the night before on the piss, probably with mates watching Canelo and Crawford. Probably. How you doing, Light? What's good? Yeah, this is a channel full of random bullshit. We just kind of, we mostly talk about fighting in here. But you know, whatever you guys come up with, I'm more than happy to address, because I'm not a pussy. And I'm hiding behind a camera. So it's nice and easy. It's easy to be brave when you're by yourself. But that's probably exactly how it went down. And we know that with Ricky Hatton, he was somebody who burnt the candle at both ends. He was a hard worker, but he certainly knew how to hit the bottle. And there was a time where I think he was caught on camera doing cocaine at some point as well. And when you get older on in life and you've got a lot of money and you're out partying with the lads, with all that intense training, and then you're drinking like a fish and potentially doing, again, I'm not saying, oh well, and you're dead now. Like, I love Ricky Hatton. There's always, I guess there's always a cost to those things, and we all pay it sooner or later at different times. So it's not even a judgment thing. It's more of a, I'd say the picture you've just painted is highly likely. Some people are just schizo. A homeless guy stabbed a guy in the throat with his son on his lap not too long ago in my city. If I had to guess, it was just a mentally ill person. And that is the biggest problem that America has these days. It's like Bodak brought it up on the last stream. It's like the opioid crisis, the dependence on mood stabilizers, and a lack of diagnosis and a lack of late diagnosis. And you would know this yourself, being in the job that you're in, especially, that you encounter a lot of situations where you're like, this person is clearly unstable, mentally ill. And then they're kind of, you know, in positions where the action is too late and then something dangerous happens. But I feel like it's more representative of the society that we live in now, the pressures of social media, the fact that we're interacting way too much and we're exposed to way too much. And that only fuels those potential situations from exacerbating. And that's kind of what we're getting at the moment. You know, we're getting people who are too exposed to each other. No Jones. We've got a drug system in America that is clearly out of control, and people depending on things and maybe being prescribed things that they shouldn't be, or not being prescribed things that they should be. And it's a very hard system to get right. I'm waffling now, but you get what I'm saying. But again, we're reaching that generation where we're looking back and we're like, oh my God, society's fucked. Adults were saying the same thing when we were kids. And their parents were saying the same things about them. You hope that society will bounce back and adjust, but I feel like the balloon is reaching bursting point. Sooner or later, we all know we're going to kill ourselves in some capacity, or somebody's going to come along and do the job for us. And it's getting to the point now where we kind of deserve it. Like, there's some good people out there that still, you know, give us hope. But yeah, snap your fingers twice and I'll sub. So are you assuming that this is pre-recorded? Now that you're telling me to snap my fingers, I kind of don't want to. That kind of says a lot about me, doesn't it? I'm not really a monkey see, monkey do kind of person. If you can confirm that you're a real female, I'll let you sub. How about that? Because we need some more fucking clunge up in here. Like I said, we do, and the female subscribers we do have are amazing. I mean, they must be to put up with my bullshit. Because the derogatory shit I say on a daily basis, you'd have to be based to put up with it. Fine then, don't snap your fingers and I'll sub. I really like that arrangement. I really, really do. What's the inspiration behind the name Penguin Girly, by the way? I feel like I've got to ask now. You've got me intrigued. Anyway, yeah, like I said, it's always nice to hang out with you on a Sunday. I feel like it's always chill. I do miss the panels though. I need to start getting them up and running again. The thing is though, the reason why I'm doing single panels at the moment is because doing vertical streams is really helping with making the shorts. Because when I convert them, they're just like instant. I nearly snapped my fingers there. You nearly got me to subconsciously do it. They're just easier to chop up. And I love having Geo on from time to time, but his microphone is absolute dog shit. And when I go back to cut the videos into shorts, it's just a load of crackling and you can't hear anything. And then I want to fucking kill him. So I don't do that as much anymore. But I will get back to doing panels again because they are fun. And I imagine sooner or later, if it hasn't happened already, you're going to just get bored of me rambling. So as I said, I'm not going to be here for too long. I've got work first thing on Monday morning. However, if anyone has anything to talk about or anything they might be interested in talking about, no matter how insane, feel free to drop it and we can talk about it. Gilly doesn't have a mic. Well, that explains a lot. He just uses his phone. That explains a lot. I mean, with the resources that man has, I mean, I've got one of those Rode devices that Bodak recommended to me, and it is amazing. The downside I've still got is when I do those in real life streams that I do when I'm at bars and stuff, I still can't really do them properly because the Wi-Fi is always shot. So I need to find a way around that. That will be the next solution to solve. Like when I go away, I'm going to bring like a portable Wi-Fi device that I can bring with me. And hopefully I can get that going. Frankie, I know you love Asians and their countries. Have you been to Indonesia before? I was there for a couple of days. I haven't experienced the country properly. There's a few countries you don't really want on your passport. Cambodia is one of them. And Indonesia has that kind of vibes as well. Because it screams like that you're not just a sex tourist, you're like a non-sex tourist, which is not something you want on your passport. Indonesia maybe less so. Just phone, yeah, I kind of assume that. Is society really that bad now? My friend always says the same thing, but to me, everything seems the same as it's always been. And I mean, I think that's the reality of the situation. I think the problem is now is that more people have a voice. So I think things have always been this bad, but I would say that it is worse because when people start getting a voice, they start using it in very incorrect ways. It forces people's personalities to get more blown up and more exaggerated, and then more people to enter the debate because you end up talking about things you wouldn't usually consider or usually get involved in, and it leads to very, very dark places. So I think things are getting ramped up for sure. It's like I said, we live in a society now where not only are people getting murdered for nothing, but we're passing it around and laughing about it. And maybe it's always been like that or maybe it would have always been like that, but just more people are exposed to stuff, I guess. It's gross. I mean, in terms of quality of life, you would say, yeah. I mean, quality of life, it depends how you measure quality of life, though. It really does. And I mean, it's easy to look at things through rose-tinted glasses. It just is. Not for nothing. How you doing, Darth Slayer? What's good, man? Fucking sick boy name. It's just, I mean, I personally feel like, I don't know. I worry for my kids. I see that makes sense. Yeah, it looks sketchy though. Vietnam looks underrated for traveling. Vietnam was amazing. I wish I could show you some videos of some of the things I did there, but YouTube will not like it. But you've seen what I'm like out there. Even a small snippet of it. So I will tell you. I can tell you this much here. Next time, for those of you in here who know Brutally Honest and JPL, I sent them one video of what I was doing in a bar. That's all I'll say. and you can ask them to fill in the blanks, because I am not a self-glazer. All I'll say is they instantly both said to me, "When are we going?" That was all they said. It's on. No way these Asian places beat go to Japan, though. Japan is my favorite destination, but it depends on what kind of holiday you want. If you're a lad and you want to go and party and have a good time, just enjoy yourself, um, you'd go to somewhere like Bangkok or to Manila or to Hainan. You just go to the Saigon. You go to those places because you get friendly people, know how to party. It's relatively cheap to drink there, and food's great. Hotels are great. You can have a good time. But if you want like a good cultural experience, Japan is number one. Blumpkin in a bar. It's not quite Blumpkin. All I'll say is that I probably stumbled over my speech then for an English speaker. That's poor. But there was some stuff that I did in a bar that it wasn't even me doing it. It was things that I was witnessing in the bar with people that I was with. Wild. Why are you worried about your kids? I just came to the stream. How you doing, Physics? What's good, man? Yeah, we were talking about just how social media's gotten and how crazy things are and how depraved as a species we've become. You know, we've got, just like I said, just depraved stuff going on online and people having voices that probably should just shut the fuck up. It's becoming a dystopia more and more every day. Have you been to Phuket? That's the only Asian place I've been to. Phuket is a perfect, I wouldn't call it if you're going to have a wild time, Phuket is a very good entry level. I've been there once. Phuket is a very good entry level place to get involved because you'll find people there that want to party, but it's a lot less wild. Whereas in Bangkok, people are absolutely out of control. And in Manila, if you go to certain places, people are out of control in a very fun way. When we meet up one day in England or Poland, etc., you will have to share some of these legendary stories, bro. The great thing about it is I just have to scroll through my phone and go, yeah, there was when this happened. Do you know what, Chris? If you get yourself on WhatsApp, I'll send you some of the videos that I sent to Brutally and JPL, or you could just ask them. It might be better if you get the story third hand, because I don't want to sound like I'm sucking my own balls. But we definitely need to do Poland. Poland would be the better option for us. England is dead. England ain't worth it. I wouldn't even bother. You know, I like my white women, but man, Japan is so beautiful and clean. I would probably make exception to move there. Japanese women are weird, but the place is sensational. Like I told you before, I went to Hokkaido and I went to Osaka, and they were two very, very different experiences. Hokkaido was covered in snow, and it was literally like a winter wonderland. That's how I would describe it. I felt like a kid at Christmas, and I was in my 30s. Beautiful experience. And then Osaka was clean. It wasn't overpopulated. It felt like a large town with character. A large modern town. Beautiful. I loved every second of it. I used to have a roommate from Singapore's another one that I've got high love for as well. Singapore's amazing. And he said if you get caught with weed, you'll do life in prison. And if you get caught selling it, you'll get executed. Those countries scare me. And I should have finished that sentence. This is why those countries are so... I've got to be honest with you. It's easy to do in countries like that. Qatar's another place like that. Saudi Arabia, a lot of places in the Middle East. When you've got very small controlled situations, you can keep crime down to the bare minimum. I never experienced crime in any of those situations because it's a direct fuck around and find out situation. It's like in China. You know, in America, you get this, oh, we'll see you in court in 9 months, and then you get this long drawn out thing, and then you probably get a slap on the wrist. In China and in those places, you're either in jail the next day, or you're in jail now, and then you're sentenced the next day or the day after, or your head's in some fucking field somewhere. And I don't mean to be, and I'm not saying things don't happen in those countries, but it's funny how the mood shifts here when it's a fuck around and find out situation. So people don't even think about fucking around. it works, plain and simple. And to be honest, it's a really nice environment to live in. Like I had to have a major attitude readjustment when I came back to the UK. Because when I was living in Qatar, for example, I would just leave my phone lying around and I'd leave my wallet lying around. I'd go up to the bathroom, leave my wallet on the table, fuck off. Nobody would go near that shit. They just don't think like that. Did you know that plants make you guff? Southwest carp hunter, nice. And a nice picture of, I guess, what looks like a carp. How you doing? I'm not sure what guff means. Kindly educate me in the politest possible way you can, or as rudely as you can. I mean, it's your fucking choice. But shout out to you, Southwest carp hunter. Yeah, so like I said, there's what I would strongly advise people to do, and I know I talk a lot of shit about wild women and wild partying and all that stuff, but just get yourselves out there. There is so much in the world you need to see. America's awesome, but you're missing out on a lot if you stay in one place, and that's just a general piece of advice. It's not a very deep piece of advice, but I feel like you're missing out on a lot if you don't take advantage of what's out there, and I think everybody should. The thing is, Chris, those laws wouldn't work now because it's like I said, the horse is bolted. Even if you had like, let's take the gun situation, for example, in America. I don't think Americans should or will give up their guns. I think that's the wrong decision to make. But even if you did, it's too embedded now. It wouldn't work. It's part of your identity. The horse has bolted. It is well and truly bolted. So we need to shut up about having that conversation and start thinking about how we can make it just more. It's going to sound stupid because we're talking about guns, but I'm more making a general point. How to make things safer. And that sounds stupid, I know, but you know what I'm saying. How you doing, Phanoy? Where are you from? Are you from Vietnam? Because it does sound like a very Vietnamese sounding name. I hope I haven't offended you there. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing very well. Yeah. I mean, I do need to spend, I'm thinking next summer, and I said this last summer, so I'm probably talking bullshit. I need to go to South America. It's the only proper continent I haven't been to. Obviously, I haven't been to Antarctica. Before you all start fucking bleating about that. I haven't been to Antarctica, but in terms of like tourist destinations you would go to and countries you would check out, I've been to the Caribbean multiple times. I've obviously been to North America. I've never been to Canada, funnily enough. I've never been to Mexico. I've been to parts of Africa. I've been all over Europe. I've been all over Asia. I feel like South America is the next big one. I need to do Mexico, Cancun, you know. I feel like that's next on the list. Because I love Asia and I don't get as much time off as I used to. But I've been there. I've planted my flag in that place. Physics, I am actually a professor of English literature, believe it or not. Despite the fact I was just talking about tapping ass. No offense taken. I'm a mix of Polish Greek. Fucking awesome mix. You've got the Polish Chad and you've got the Greek, the olive-skinned Greek beauty. So that's quite the combination. Show us your Switch collection. You know, I'll do a quick sidestep here. This isn't the whole thing, but that is, let me get out of the way. So that's, it goes on and on and on. I'm quite a sad cunt. I believe the number is at about 800 now. I got a lot more than that. Who'd you got in Nate Wood versus Jose Delgado? Ooh. I've always got to go for my boy Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood is a fucking ledge. Physics, if you like a bit of degenerate bullshit in your live stream conversations, it gets wet and wild up in here. And I mean both. I'd love to find a big H hideouts down in there in Argentina. Argentina is very high up on the left. You're really young for a prof, like 26, 27. No, I'm 40 years old. And I still can't grow a beard. I'm pretty sure puberty hasn't quite struck yet, and I've said this a few times. I'm not fucking around. When I go bald up here, which probably isn't that far away, I'm fucked. I'm gonna have to go straight over to Turkey and get some work done. I would never do anything to my face. When it starts drooping and becoming a ball bag, I'm gonna let that ride because they haven't figured it out yet, and I'm not that vain. But when the hair goes, I'm making an instantaneous trip. I might even vlog it. I'm not gonna hide it either. I'm not gonna turn up on stream one day and you're gonna see a luscious mane. Ain't gonna happen. How you doing, MMA events log? What's good, man? You MMA fan as well. We just got very much into the card earlier. Well, most of it, and we talked a little bit about the boxing. Nothing is unless it's completely retarded. You know, it's just stupid beef and nonsense. Then I don't really put up with that shit. But I talk about anything, pretty much, under the sun. I may sound extremely ignorant with a lot of it, but that's part of the fun. I don't mind being stupid sometimes and ignorant. Tyler Robinson is innocent. Don't know who that is. See, the ignorance followed almost instantaneously afterwards. I'm all out of luck then. I was hoping when I hit my 30s, I would finally grow some. To be fair, yeah, my dad started growing his when he was like 32, 33. It still hasn't hit for me. But it's more that I don't mind because my face is all right. I think I can. Some men look way better with a beard. I personally don't know if it would work for me. But if you're bald and you've got no beard, it just ain't the look. I feel like you've got to have one or the other. When I be living on the east coast of Canada, and you could take a quick flight over and crash at the crib there, brother, I would very much appreciate it. I mean, I'd appreciate meeting you. I don't really crash on people's places because there will be, you know what I'm gonna say. Out of pure respect for you and your house, I wouldn't do that, but I appreciate the offer. But we'll definitely meet up a lot. We're long overdue this. What do you think of the current state of the UK? Awful. Awful. I bought a house here like 3 years ago, paid in cash. Just putting that out there. Not that I'm flexing or anything, even though that was a disgusting thing to say. But what I'm saying is I invested a lot of capital into this country. And it's awful. I mean, I don't really have very strong views on immigration and things like that because I think it's a very complex thing. But crime is bad, prices are bad. The country's very much as divided as it's ever been, if not more so. It's not a great place to live, I'll be honest. However, I am planning on getting out of here soon. So I'm going to do one more year in my job. And then I'm taking my son and getting the fuck out of here. So things are hopeful. And then I'll probably just rent this house out and live the rest of my life. Oh, Tyler Robinson is the cunt talking on the fall of Charlie Kirk. I didn't see that. Biz, what was an early stoppage? Are you talking about the Biz, are you talking about the main event of UFC? I mean, if you wanted to see him die, it was an early stoppage. We wouldn't want to take that funny moment away. I know what you're going to say, but YouTube would not like to hear the N-word. Well, good driver. I mean, I'm not a user of the N-word anyway. I swear. But I don't think YouTube really cares about that. You get away with a lot more in live streams. I mean, I've said some really fucking fucked up stuff on this channel. Racist, stupid, sexist. And when I say racist, I mean racist to everyone. I'm not one of those people. I'm equally racist to everyone. Why is the West Coast dead in Canada? I'm about to go to Canada to study there. How old are you, physics, then? I've noticed, yeah, we've got quite a range of ages and people. It's mostly dudes. We do have some women turn up here every so often. And then we've got those, you know, those in-betweeners like Clown Show. Who knows what they are. Are you fleeing the country as an early stop? Oh, I got you, Biz. I feel like the thing is, yeah, it's not really me fleeing the country. It's always been in the plan. I've got personal reasons for still being here in the UK. I've spoken about this quite openly on my live stream because I'm not that sensitive about it. Like my father passed away a few years ago, and my mother has dementia. So obviously, I want to be here during that time for her. So that's the main reason why I'm back. I also want my son to somewhat benefit from a tertiary education as well. But there's other places to get that done. But I'm primarily here for that. And once I've milked what I want out of it, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Because there's definitely better places to be. But nice to see you here, good driver. That was quite a ramble. There's definitely places you can go where things can be a lot more affordable. But just the general, like the people, the way of life. Like I've lived everywhere, and honestly, well, not everywhere, but I've lived in many places. And I love almost anywhere better than the UK. But I lived here a long time, so maybe I'm just bored. I lived here for the first 26, 27 years of my life. Overall, did you enjoy the match? Did you mean the main event? You're going to have to specify what the main event was, Ujwal. But nice to have you here, sir. It's nice that we're getting a lot more Indian people up in here as well. I'm going to have to be much more careful with my rhetoric. Because I sometimes take the piss out of people, and Indians in particular get very sensitive about that. They think I'm targeting them when really I just target everyone. A beautiful place, but not when you have to worry about stepping on Jubilee's dumps on the sidewalk. It's very specific. What's craziest to me is how Instagram saying the N-word is the epitome of humor and no one gets banned. I don't use Instagram. I used to use Twitter quite a bit, but I don't even fuck with that anymore. I don't fuck with Discord. I mostly just watch YouTube shorts, and that's mostly it. You're 22 years old, young. And that must be nice. That must be nice. What type of place would you look to move to, like an Asian country? I'm thinking somewhere else in Europe. Spain and Greece are quite high on my list because housing is still somewhat affordable. It's warm. People there are chill. I just feel it would be all round better for me, but I'd want somewhere relatively accessible. So I don't know. It's all. I've got kind of a year to think it over, and chances are it will probably take me a little bit longer than that because my son's quite settled into school and whatnot. But it's definitely on the cards, and he knows it as well, so it won't be like a surprise. Luckily, I'm going to Manitoba. I've heard really nice. I've heard Canada. A lot of people are complaining about Canada now with Trudeau and everything, but I've still heard Canada's really a nice place to live. I know a lot of people who live over there, and they other than the political side of it, which I know is a big aspect of it, they enjoy living there. And people love fucking complaining. I have to go with the words of Elron Hoyamembi. Need to be spread. I leave you like I wish you luck on your journey. Nice one, good driver. Thank you for stopping by. Sick ass profile picture as well. You're always welcome in the stream. Is it easy for the UK folks to move to EU countries since Brexit? Or it's basically the same. The thing that it affects, that you still don't have to get visas to go to different European countries. It's more about how it affects like trade and taxation, and it gives the Europeans it gives the UK an excuse to not. It gives the UK an excuse to put more of a, take less of a responsibility away from like immigration and things like that. So we don't have to do things at the whim of the EU. However, there are a lot of pitfalls that come with that. And I think generally it's been a much worse thing for the country. I mean, that's hard to argue. Same, I'm also from the UK and wish to leave. Imagine what the UK will look like in the next 10 years with the current change if nothing changes. I mean, again, we all kind of make things gradually get worse for people anyway, and they tend to go in cycles. So when you're doing well and you're making money, there are times when you get your ass fucking reamed out, and then the poor people get a little bit more of a boost. And then there's times when it goes the other way around. It's cyclical for a reason. But in terms of freedom of speech, that's basically over. I'm not sure if it was ever there, to be real. But certainly it's a country that's on the downslide. And there's a lot of worrying signs to look out for. The education system's shocking. The healthcare system is way worse than it was back in my day. It's very hard to get a fucking appointment with a GP even these days. It's shocking. Trudeau is gone, by the way. Not sure if Carney will be much better. I'm not so well informed. Yeah, I don't know too much about Canadian politics. It's not really that relevant to me. But I didn't know. In fact, I probably did hear that he'd fucked off, but what difference does it make? I love cold weather, and not gonna lie. So, physics, you've hit the nail on the head. A lot of people complain about. There's a reason why I look like I'm 12. It's the cold weather. In case you dumb cunts haven't realized it, and I'm talking to some of you, not all of you. Sun ages your skin. Heat makes you tired. I've just revealed the truth to all of it. Drink water and enjoy a nice cold climate, and you will look like a 12-year-old forever. And I am the proof. Pop Jeet News. How you doing, Ninja Storm? I think I've seen you in here before. How you doing? With a Pringles profile pic. I think that's a Pringles profile pic, or it's like some cartoon Hitler. Either way, welcome in. I mean, not welcome in if it's a cartoon. Anyway, we've got a much worse version of Trudeau in the office right now. It's just a matter of 10, 15 years before we're a minority by far. This is what we have to prepare for, people. Anyway, I'm very sorry to cut this stream short. I want to stay here all night because you guys have been fucking awesome. And I'm actually 1 subscriber away from 1.22K, which is another milestone for me. So if you could drop a like on the stream, I'd love you long time. I only usually do an hour and a half on a Sunday because, like I said, got work in the morning, got a kid to get ready for school. Yeah, so I just want to thank, like I said, everyone who's been here, old and new. There's been some nice streams lately. Some of them have been a bit downbeat, but I've generally enjoyed them. I mean, there's 30 people right now on a peak Sunday, which is really nice. So yeah, I appreciate everyone who's stuck around for my rambling. I'm gonna come back again at some point during the week. I'm really gonna try and do live streams more because this is just so easy for me now. I can just jump on and have a chat. Quickly, Westy, or anybody in the chat, if there's anybody who you think deserves a raid, because while there's 30 people in here, let's show somebody some love. I'm not sure who's on. The only one I can see on is Northern King. But if there's anyone who's maybe got a small channel who you think deserves a little bit of a boost, throw their links in the description. Show those people some love. You know, YouTube is a horrible grind, especially for people who want to make money out of it. So if you can help those people on a nice Sunday by just giving them a little boost, turning up and having a little bit of conversation, I'm sure it will mean a world to them. Shout out to all of you. If you wouldn't mind, again, smashing that like button before you head out, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a wonderful stream. And yeah, I'll see you all during the week. Not that much of an amazing card next weekend, but I'm sure we'll find something to talk about it. And the way that the world's going at the moment, I'm sure something else fucked up will happen this week. Or really good, which would be even better. But yeah, if there's anyone you can link in the description now, or sorry, link in the chat, please. Why? Oh, see, I'll quickly answer this, physics. I do it for the community. I like having people that I can talk shit with. You know, I just like talking to people who are interested in MMA because everyone in my life who I'm friends with in real life, I don't know why I said that twice, think MMA is fucking gay. Tino, how you doing, bro? One tab Adam, to be honest, after MMA Guru blew up, I've seen a lot more people doing these streams lately. It's lovely to see. It is lovely to see, and you get such a range of personalities out here. There's something for everyone, I feel like. And I'm not everyone's brand. I don't know what kind of brand I am, but the community makes this place, and I'm grateful for every single one of you who's in here. So shout out to you, One Tab Adam. You're always welcome here. I'm sorry that you've come along at the very end of the stream, but I appreciate having you here. Yeah, check out Westy's link. This is the MMA Uwu who's got 15 subscribers. Get over to that guy. 15 subs. Give that guy some love. I'm sure he'd lose his fucking mind to have people turning up. I think he's playing UFC 5 right now. Get over there. Give him a little boost. Throw him some subs. I'm sure you'd make his day. Rose, I'm really sorry. S Rose, I'm really sorry to be ducking out right now. Tino, great win on the weekend. Voltamada, delighted about him. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, guys. We'll catch up again. Boxing is not better than MMA. Are you mad? Have a great one, Physics. I hope I'll see you again. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Much love. See you guys during the week. Head over to the MMA Uwu. Show the guys some love and support.